It's the World Series rematch, the Astros versus the Phillies. Both teams come into this game having won the last three series. What's going to happen this weekend, and will Jordan return on this edition of Locked On Astros?
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. We appreciate it. We thank you for being what we call an everydayer. That's somebody that watches our show or listens to our show every day. So go and subscribe to us on YouTube. Our numbers keep on going up, and give us a big thumbs up while you're at it. And go and listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, Google, blah, 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 blah. Wherever you listen to your podcast, check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So I know a lot of people want to get out this weekend to Minute Maid Park to see the World Series rematch. It's going to be Aaron Nola versus Framber Valdez in Game 1, and definitely something that you want to check out on. If you can't be there at the game, you can't watch the game because you don't have Apple TV, it's definitely something. If you have Sirius XM, you could definitely tune into the game, and you could tune into every hometown call play-by-play on Sirius XM. Just download the app, SXM app, and search for Astros, and you can hear all of Robert Ford and Sparky just not Sparky. Who else?
Yeah, Steve Sparks.
Yeah, Sparky. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I had it. Like, he likes to get wet during the playoffs, so I don't know why I got distracted there, but definitely check out Sirius XM and all the play-by-play action there. So I'm excited about this series. I know like the Astros, the Phillies are kind of having a little bit of that. Okay, we made it to the World Series last year. We're having a little bit of a hangover, 13-13. You're going to talk a little bit about their records and what they've done the past handful of games. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this should be an interesting matchup. Bryce Harper still not back in the lineup. He had Tommy John surgery over the offseason. And so this is still a dangerous Phillies team. This is a team that went to the World Series last year. So the NL East and AL East are both pretty big powerhouses.
Yeah, exactly. You know, at top of their division, they've got Atlanta at 17-9, who we might I remind everybody we swept. The Mets, Miami, and then Philadelphia, right above the Washington Nationals. Now, the Phillies haven't exactly come back and had the strongest season. They do have a negative 10-run differential that is not in their favor. And then against teams, Eric, that are above 500, they're only 2-7. So the last three series on our schedule versus the last three series on their schedule, they're not the same thing. Like, one of these things is not like the other, like the old Sesame Street mantra was. And the Astros clearly beat up on some big teams,
right?
The Blue Jays, the Rays, and the Braves. I mean, all three teams, top-notch teams. The Phillies, I mean, they beat the White Sox. They're terrible. The White Sox nation is melting down right now. They are just so livid with their team. They're so livid with their ownership. They beat the Rockies. The Rockies aren't very good this year at all. And the teams they've played, they haven't been great. The teams that they have played that are good, they haven't fared well against. So regardless of what they've done against the teams and who they are, it does somewhat give you a temperature of where they are right now. we know obviously at the end of the season, you could be a wild card team, make it to the World Series. Like the Phillies weren't really picked to go to the World Series last year. No one really had them coming out of the National League. There were a bunch of teams that won over 100 games in the National League, but they ended up making it because they got hot at the right time. This is still a team that has some weapons on the pitching side. They have weapons on the offensive side. They signed Trey Turner. They've got Real Muto, one of the best catchers in the game. They've got Kyle Schwarber. He's actually going to be mic'd up Sunday night. So they've got, yeah, well, I'm just saying they've got some talent on that end of the,
Right.
on that side of the field. But I think this is a matchup, a World Series reunion that the Astros will welcome, especially with Framber Valdez going Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. And the Astros on the other side of the coin are 11-7 versus teams above 500. They are 6-7 at home, so that's something they do need to prove upon. They are 8-4 on the road, and in their last 10 games, they're 7-3. They've won 2 in a row, and they have a plus 28 run differential, so that's pretty good. The Rangers are playing tonight against the Yankees, so we won't know the outcome as of recording, but that's something that we can definitely talk about. I think I'm doing a crossover tomorrow with the Locked On Phillies hosts tomorrow before the game, so that's something that I can talk about then. The Astros could potentially be in a tie for first place. So as good as the Rangers got off to a start, the Astros could catch up to them, and I think once they go past them, I don't think they look back. Yeah, you're going to have some ebbs and flows, but still, I think this Astros team is good enough. And just, I don't want to keep on dunking on the A's, but we talked about it before the show. The A's have a negative 113 run differential. They are 2-10 at home, 3-11 on the road, 4-19 against teams above 500. Teams are just licking their chops, just waiting to go play the Oakland A's. And that was not always the case. And so this is a franchise that needs a change. So I think that maybe the change to Vegas will help. So, but that's something that we could look at down the road. Right now, we need to look at this Phillies matchup. And so let's go and talk about hitting so far.
Yeah, so hitting so far, for the Astros, we know who our big guns are. We know that Kyle Tucker is pretty much driving this offense right now with Yordan Alvarez being out. We don't know where he's going to end up. But if you look at the Phillies side of the ball, Framber Valdez only has a couple times where he's faced Schwarber, Realmuto, Pache is out there, CJ Stubbs. I'm sorry, not CJ Stubbs. CJ Stubbs is his
Garrett
brother
Stubbs.
that's in the Astros. Garrett Stubbs, his brother CJ Stubbs plays for the Hooks right now. And Castellanos in 4 plate appearances, batting 0. I'm not really into how big their numbers are against Valdez because they don't have much time facing him. Harrison and Marsh have faced him the most. Marsh when he's with the Angels. Harrison when he's been with other teams around the major league. So I think this first game squares up well for the Astros because Aaron Nola early on the season is 1-2 with a 5.40 ERA. And you have quite a bit of success against him, but there's not a whole lot of plate appearances. Alvarez 333. We don't know if he'll be back. Hensley batting 1,001 at bat. That's not really anything to talk about because it's 1 at bat. And Hensley is batting terrible this year. Hensley, to me, needs some time in AAA. He needs to be demoted. He needs to work on his hitting because he is not producing, I think, the way that people thought he would produce.
Right.
But I read an article today about Kyle Tucker. Chandler Rome wrote it. Phenomenal article on how he's come out of his shell and how Lance McCullers said he's one of the most criminally underrated players in all of Major League Baseball. I think our offense comes into this series, and I think we absolutely smash the Phillies. I think we knock the cover off the ball.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you who's leading baseball and batting average in a second, but then we'll talk about where the Phillies rank as a team in terms of OPS, home runs, and we'll talk about where the Astros are too. So it's just you got to get out there. You got to get out there to the games this weekend. It's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And Gametime is the place you need to go. The Gametime app is easy to use. It's free to download. So if you're a Locked On Astros listener, use this code, Locked On MLB. you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Look, I've used the Gametime app, and it's not just for sports. Concerts, theater events, whatever it is you want to do, you can check out. If you're in the Houston area, if you're coming from outside of the Houston area and you're coming into town, there's tickets for everything. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful, and it's not with Gametime. The killer deals are there, last minute deals, and I experienced it firsthand during the Final Four. Was able to take my son at a very nice price, was easy on the wallet. And what's cool is your tickets are right there. They are in your phone. You don't have to scramble in your wallet or your dashboard for tickets anymore. The lowest price guaranteed and event cancellation protection as well, job loss protection. So forget planning for months. You can wait till Friday when you're listening to this, right before you go to the game, to go to Gametime. And if you find tickets that you bought from Gametime in the same section and same row for less, they will credit you 110% of the difference. So you get images of your seats, you buy them in a matter of seconds, they're in your phone, and you don't have to dig for them. So snag the tickets today without stress. Go to the Gametime app, download it, create an account, use a promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
So the Astros are rising up in terms of batting average. No, they're not leading baseball. That was a little bad tease there, but they are actually right now 12th in baseball with 251 batting average. But that's a lot better than they did earlier in the season. I think they were bottom. And remember, they're leading baseball in strikeouts. They're slowly sinking down to the bottom where they should be. I think they're 20th in terms of strikeouts right now. But the Philadelphia Phillies are leading in batting average with a 279 batting average right now. Their OPS is 4th overall with 786. But if you're looking at what they're doing homer-wise, they're not hitting a lot of home runs. They have 28 home runs, which is good for being tied with 14th with the Orioles and the Pirates. And who's right behind them? The Oakland A's have 27. So the Astros, though, let me scroll down a little bit. The Astros only have 24 home runs, so they're 22nd. So the Astros are not hitting the long ball. Don't they know that chicks dig the long ball? Don't you know that?
Yeah, but chicks also dig teams that win in October and November too. I think they're more concerned with that. But look, I think some of that will pick up. Bregman hasn't been hitting as many home runs. Bregman's still getting on base. His on base percentage is great. He's seeing the ball well. Kyle Tucker and Jordan at the end of the season will have 40 plus home runs each. I think. I don't see how you keep those guys in the yard for less than that. And at the end of the day, you've got other guys that can produce power. Jolks is going to produce some power. Pena obviously is going to hit his home runs. If Jose Abreu finds the power back, he could give you 10 or 15. And like I said, I really missed on that. I really thought that this year, after looking at his numbers last year and his hard hit percentage, that he would bring a power bat, especially with our short porches out there. Just hasn't happened. We just need him to hit more consistently and for average. So if they can win without the long ball, that's actually to their advantage. Because if they're winning without that and then they do start hitting them, the league's in trouble.
Well, yeah, I know. And just ask the Rays. I mean, when you don't hit home runs every game, you're not going to win. So I guess that's what the moral of the story. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And the Rays still lead all baseball with 48 home runs. So Astros have half of the number of home runs that the Rays do. But
the Rays, go look at their opponents. They've played nobody. The only two good teams they've played, the Blue Jays and the Astros, and they lost both of those series 2-1. They're hitting home runs off of the Tigers and the likes of those teams. So I'm going to temper my praise a little bit for the Rays. Because yes, they're the hottest team in baseball. Then I really started examining it today. And I was like, wait, they've been beating up on the little guys. They haven't exactly been going toe-to-toe. And when they did go toe-to-toe, the Blue Jays put them in their place. And what do? We beat them. And then we put them in their place. So the Rays are not a 14-2 team or 15-4. They are a little bit closer. They've got a few more losses in there. They've got a few more wins. Because Eric, if they're pulling out bullpen guys in a 3-game series and bullpen games in a 3-game series, that's not going to translate over the long haul for them.
Well,
So
they've had some injuries too. So
right. But I'm just saying, in other words, the Rays, and that's why this season it is too early to spike the football. Even the one team that I would say early this year in Major League Baseball that I think may actually have something going for them is the Pittsburgh Pirates, because the way they're winning. I mean, they're doing really well.
they're
It's not
stealing
luck.
bases. They're hitting.
Yeah, they are playing a
with power.
complete game. So we know that there's paper champs out there, and we know that you don't win October in April. And so the Astros, as well as they're playing right now, they've got to put the pedal to the metal and keep their foot on the gas.
The Rays are 6-4 against teams above 500. So against the primary competition, they are a little bit closer to 500. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Rays, but yeah, definitely game one matchup is going to be a rematch of the World Series, game one of World Series. So definitely something to look at. Will Rylan Bannon ever get a appearance before Michael Brantley comes back or Chas McCormick comes back? Because there's going to be a whole bunch of roster shuffling once these guys get healthy. I think Corey Julks has earned a right to stay. I think Cesar Salazar probably has become expendable, not because of his fault, but I think Yainer Diaz has kind of played well in his opportunities to catch. And I think that Martin Maldonado, unless he's hurt, he's going to be on this team. And David Hensley is probably another guy that's probably going to be going down pretty soon. I don't know what the timetable is on Jose Altuve. And we still, unless you've heard something, the Astros have not said anything about what's going on with Yordan Alvarez. And unless they make some type of announcement before the game on Friday, they may be playing with the player shorts, like somebody's in a penalty box in hockey
They
in
might
the
be.
3-game series versus
They
the
might
Phillies.
be. But I'm sorry, Eric. I thought you were done when you said that last thing. Apologize for cutting you off there. Yordan was out versus the Rays. They threw 2 shutouts. They only needed 1 run to beat the Rays. So look,
Still, you can't count on that. You're not going to get a shutout every day from Jose. You're kidding me.
I didn't say that. And you didn't get a shutout from Jose. You're kidding me. You got a shutout from Luis Garcia and Hunter Brown. But at the end of the day, the whole point of that, the premise of what I'm saying is this team can win with their defense. This team can win with their pitching. And when their pitchers do what they're supposed to do and do what they're capable of doing, you don't have to put up 7 or 8 runs. Remember early in the season, they lost a 7-6 game to the Tigers, and they had 9 hits in that game. This team right now, the way they're playing, if they get 9 hits and 6 runs, they're winning that game. Like you said, there's an ebb and flow in baseball. And I think that's a really good term that's probably not looked at enough, because it is all about streaks. It's all about when a team's doing something good, it's infectious. Other people start doing it. When defensive stabs are made, defensive throws are made. When that happens, it picks your pitching up. When that happens, it motivates your hitters. And it's an infectious thing. Winning, they say, cures all ails. Well, if your team as individuals are doing their job, look, Hensley's just not getting it done. Hensley and Bannon are probably down. Salazar, like you said, I don't know. But I do think, even though I am declared the Maldi truther, I'm declared the Maldi defender, the president of Astros Twitter cult, okay, Diaz does deserve more starts. I would like to see Diaz get a start with Urquidy and Brown at least, and then you can start Maldonado with Luis Garcia and Framber Valdez. Or you could put him with Framber, because Framber's talked about he likes throwing to Diaz. Diaz, I think, should get more playing time, because you want Maldonado as your starter to be fresh at the end of the season. And he's not a young dog anymore. He's kind of an older dog, and he's been there a while. And so you can temper I don't like Maldonado starting with, let's just give Diaz a few more starts. And I think he'll earn that. And I think Maldonado will give that away, but the club isn't going to do that until they feel it's right. And that's what we have to realize. The decisions they make are not based on some fan graphs chart, some baseball savant, new metric that they just came up with a few days ago. But they pay guys millions of dollars, a team, hundreds of people to look at data, to look at this. And Maldonado's value is inexplicable. It is really, you can't really measure it, right? You can only measure it by what the players and the coaches say his value is. And then the metrics we don't know that they look at. So I think this team's in a good place. But Diaz does need more at bats. Maybe you get him in there as DH more. He does need more time behind the plate because I think he's coming along a lot better than they thought he would catching wise because he threw a guy out on the bases. He can pick off runners, and he's not bad behind the plate.
Yeah, actually, correction. Aaron Nola did pitch for the Phillies in Game 1 of the World Series, but it was Justin Verlander who took the mound in Game 1. That's right.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
both
that's right.
pitchers gave up 5 runs in that game, and then Brian Abreu, Hector Neris, and Montero and Ryan Presley came in and shut things down. But then Luis Garcia came in and gave up a home run to I think I want to wasn't it to. I want to say it was to what's his face. Yeah, it was JT Realmuto to win the game. So that's what happened in game. That was Game 1, and I do believe it was Aaron Nola and Framber Valdez in the next one, in the next matchup in Game 6, if I remember correctly. So I'm looking that up right now.
I believe it was either Nola or Wheeler because I know wasn't Wheeler.
No, it was
Game
Wheeler
2?
versus Framber Valdez.
Yeah.
That in that game, Framber Valdez did pitch 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 earned run, and Wheeler pitched 5 innings. So Wheeler will be starting in Game 2 of the series versus the Astros. So that's something to take into consideration.
Because at the time Wheeler was their more clutch pitcher. Wheeler was having more success than Aaron Nola, so he was the guy that led off in Game 1, and I remember that. And look, all these decisions that are made by GMs. But are they the ultimate pro baseball GM? Well, you can be if you would like. If you're watching this show, of course you're listening, go to YouTube. What's cool is we have a QR code on the screen. You can scan it. When you scan that promo code, use a promo code Locked On, you get a 100% free boost to your club. Why do I like Ultimate Pro Baseball GM? Because it lets me live out my wildest fantasies as a baseball GM. I get to spend as much as I want. I get to hire who I want. I get to fire who I want. I get to try to make the best team, the most wonderful team, the most magnanimous team ever in baseball, even better than this Astros run. I haven't succeeded yet, but the little engine that could, what did he do? He said, I think I can. I think I can. And that's what I do every time I open up Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. So if you think you can, get the moxie, just grab probaseballgm.com, check it out, load it onto your phone, have a blast, play with friends, play offline, play anywhere you want. It's a free game, and it's really, really cool. So check it out. Use a promo code Locked On. You'll get a free boost, 100% free boost to your baseball club. Go out there, take on the world, and win a title with Ultimate Baseball GM.
All right. So looking at Framber Valdez did pitch in Game 2 of the World Series, and he pitched 6 innings in that game too, 9 strikeouts. So Framber Valdez really dealt against the Phillies in that series. And was one of the primary reasons why the Astros won the World Series was because of Framber Valdez. So
there were a lot of people that said he should have won the World Series MVP.
Right. But I think Jeremy Pena deserved it for what he did offensively. And so I don't discredit that, but too bad you can't give it for the best pitcher, the most MVP pitcher or most MVP hitter or something like that. Then people be like, well, what about the best defender? Something like that.
So I've got an idea. Don Larson has thrown the only perfect game in a World Series, correct? Why don't they call it the Don Larson Most Valuable Pitcher Award for the World Series? They should have a Don Larson Award. That would be phenomenal. You could have, because I do think Framber Valdez, or even, I mean, Ryan Presley, dude, he was perfect in the playoffs. He was amazing. Without Ryan Presley, they don't win that World Series. They don't close out those games against Seattle. They don't close out those games against the Yankees.
Right.
So you had a lot of players that just absolutely look, they celebrate each other. And when I read articles right now about Jose Altuve saying that's my second baseman or he's our second baseman to Dubon when he's on the bench, when I read about Rafael Montero leaving the mound and saying, I'm coming back in the dugout because I want to watch Mauricio Dubon hit. This team is full of selfless players. And I think that there is an intangible aspect of this Astros baseball club that not a lot of people outside of Houston really fully understand.
Yes. And I think that a lot of people are eating their crow about Mauricio Dubon. And I know we talked about that yesterday, but this guy, like I know Jose Altuve saying that's my second baseman or that's the second baseman. But when
Yeah.
Altuve's ready, that's the second baseman. So there's
Well,
no
no, right.
argument there. But
No, oh no. Well, I mean, he's not obviously given
I
him
know
his position, but
he's not being
as
Wally
one
Pipped.
of right. No, exactly. No, not at all. Not in the least. But Eric, you need your guys to get behind your guys that are on the field because you need to depend on them when they're not there and when they have to get ready at a moment's notice.
Right.
They're going to have to find a way to get Dubon on the field and in the lineup every single game, even when Altuve gets back, even when Brantley gets back. They're going to have to find a way. And I'm sorry, Jake, I know you're hitting great, but you might have to put him in center field. Like you've talked about, you're going to have to platoon him somewhere. You're going to have to DH him. He has absolutely earned a spot. And someone said to me today, they were like, oh, he's going to come down off of cloud nine soon. And I'm like, I don't know. He doesn't look like he's coming down cloud nine anytime soon. You don't want him to. Let him have a career year. Eric, he could have a good 2-year run. You know what's going to happen after his contract is up? He's going to sign a big deal. He's going to sign a pretty good contract. If he can keep this up, he's going to become a player that other clubs are going to want.
Dubon?
Yeah, Mauricio
Okay.
Dubon, he can absolutely do that.
All right.
And he can be the ultimate utility guy, I mean, you may not be sold on it, but I'm saying if this guy can live up to his potential over a long period of time, he becomes a super utility man. And those are few and far between in Major League Baseball these days.
Well, I don't think if a team gives him big money or anything like that, I don't think they're looking at him as a utility guy. But if this is a sustained success, I think they're looking at him as somebody who can play second base, somebody who can play center field or outfield, just like Mookie Betts can. And
Yeah.
Mookie Betts, that's a very valuable asset. If you have a second baseman that goes down for the whole season and you need somebody to step in at second base, Mookie Betts can do that. Mauricio Dubon can do that when you need to replace Jose Altuve. So that's a very valuable asset. So I think that with the Astros, he's probably a super utility player, but on
Right.
some other teams, he's probably an everyday player at second base or an outfield or something
No,
like that.
right. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If he goes somewhere, I'm just talking about forecasting the
Right.
what if he sustains this success. So
Yes.
I just, man, dude, I love this club. Freaking Hunter Brown. I wrote an article about him today. He is the guy, dude. He is that dog. He's got that dog in him. And I love the success he's having early. I just love that Framber is going in game 1 against the Phillies. And I think this is going to be a really fun series to watch.
I know the Astros faced Zach Wheeler a couple times in the World Series. Alex Bregman hit a home run off of him. But if you're looking at what they've done against him in the regular season, not much experience. Jose Abreu has 3 bats against him, 1 for 3. Martin Maldonado, 3 bats, 0 for 3. That's all the experience in the regular season. And then if you have Christian Javier, you have a whole bunch of people that used to play kind of more in the American League, but Brandon Marsh is batting .571 in 7 at bats, and Christian Pache is batting .500 in 2 at bats. So there's not a lot of experience between those guys during the regular season. They got a lot of experience in the postseason, of course. But a lot of them there's a lot of new faces to the Phillies lineup, and for that matter, to the Astros lineup. I mean, who thought that Corey Julks would be a valuable asset to this Astros lineup? mean, I know Dusty Baker had a lot of praise for him last spring training and this spring training, but nobody thought that this would happen. And Mark DeRosa went on a apology tour on his
I
show
saw
today,
that.
and it was like gave up 6 reasons to say sorry, and one of those was to Mauricio Dubon and Corey
Yeah.
Julks, and he said sorry. And by the way, if I see Corey Julks in the street or something, he could probably take me or something. I'm like, what are you trying to say there? But so
Oh, because he's a beast, because
yeah,
he is an animal. I mean, you and I both know this. He squats 500 pounds in the gym.
yeah,
The dude is, I mean, he's a tank. I've actually talked to him a couple times in person, and look, he's a homegrown kid. He's having success,
right.
and I'm super excited about this series. I think the Astros got things going in the right direction. I think by the end of the weekend, they find themselves atop the AL West, and like you said, I don't think they're looking back.
Yeah. One problem I have with Mark DeRosa's rant or apology letter is that he talked about sorry to the Astros rotation, and he listed every starting pitcher except for Sunday's starter, Jose Urquidy. Or you're kidding me. And he didn't say anything nice about Urquidy. That's not nice, Mark DeRosa. You've got to say
Well,
something nice about him. I know his
this isn't
last
I9
couple starts have
Sports.
not been
He
great.
hasn't, yeah, he was saying nice things. He's apologizing to the guys. Look, Urquidy can get some apologies if he kind of straightens things out.
I think
Look,
he
hey, man,
might. If not,
you don't want
Atlanta
to,
Colors will come in. Forrest
well, but
Whaley
you
will
don't
come in.
want, well, you don't want false praise, though. You don't want to give him false hopes. Like, what if he told Jose Urquidy, good job, but Jose Urquidy thought that
I
what
was
he was
kidding.
doing was good? I know. I'm kidding too, Eric. I'm kidding
Yeah.
too. I'm just
So,
saying. So, but that was great.
and
I love that by him.
Bailey Falter will be taking him out on Sunday against the Astros. So the Phillies hope he doesn't falter and he throws a good game there, because Urquidy is going to definitely turn it on and become a strike thrower again, a
He
strike
will.
thrower that doesn't give up home runs and single left and right, left and right, left and right.
I'm going to be there, and Urquidy will be under wraps. I'll talk to him before the game, and we'll get it settled. All right.
And if Brett needs some help getting bailed out of jail after he goes
No,
onto the field,
no. I'm going to talk to him from the stands. I'm not going to be like the guy when I was there last that ran on the field and got banned for life. Idiot. Yeah. Don't do that, kids. Don't do
Brett,
that.
are you going to wear jorts? Are you going to wear jorts onto the field?
I know. Unless I'm borrowing a pair of yours, I'm not wearing jorts.
I don't have jorts. I never have owned a pair of jorts. So
Whatever.
keep
You
that
owned
evil.
jorts in the 90s. You wore, everybody wore them in the 90s, Eric. Don't
Maybe
even
in the
lie.
90s, but I don't have any anymore. I honestly don't remember.
I think they make them again. Anyways, we have gone off the rails
Yes.
here.
Anyway,
This
I know you don't like predictions, but I think the Astros continue the trend and take 2 or 3 in the series. And I think they're going to make it a 4-game winning streak. They're probably going to win the first 2 games behind the best 2 pitchers. And game 3, where Brett's going, I don't know. It's all up to Jose Urquidy. So we'll see what happens. And the best thing is the Astros shut out their Rays without their best 2 pitchers pitching, Christian Javier and Framber Valdez. So any final words?
No, I think you're just saying that because you're still upset. I went to game 2 in the 2021 World Series and you went to game 6. I think you're still bitter about that. But hey, because they lost when you went. Remember that?
Oh,
And I
okay.
think it was a Sunday too. So look, I hope they sweep them, but I don't care as long as they win a 4th straight series. I think it's going to be good baseball. And I think what you need to do is make sure that you catch every hometown pitch of the Houston Astros broadcast on SiriusXM. That's the SXM app. Search Astros. That's all we got for tonight. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. He's Eric the Man Huysman. This has been another Mauricio Dubon President Fan Club edition of Houston Astros Locked On Astros podcast. Eric, there he is.
All right, that's all we got. We'll see you. I'll do a crossover tomorrow, and we'll see you next week. And Go Astros. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a 3-game or 5-game winning streak. Trying to do the math in my head. Go Astros.
Maldy's still my catcher.